Hello, everyone. Well, here we are nearing the end of the first quarter. And I would have to say it's been a pretty turbulent first quarter. If you listen to my radio show, recently I had an audio as I opened the show of a roller coaster and people screaming as it was going down. So people have been screaming going up and going down lately. But let's dive into some of the things going on, and because that's why you listen to these videos. I've been preaching these zero interest rates that they held artificially for so long and expanded the federal debt and the Federal Reserve's balance sheet would one day come back to haunt us, and they are, okay? As we're seeing inflation, which is that pent-up demand that that's happened with interest rates. So you just can't hold them down artificially forever. When they come back with a vengeance. And one of the things we saw with this Silicon Valley Bank is that they were having so much cash come in, and they had to find places for it, and they were trying to get good yields on it, but they were going long. Now, the difference between how insurance companies invest and how banks invest is that insurance companies go for a longer term investment, because they know that if they have early withdrawals, that there is some kind of a penalty charge that's applied, and it helps offset their duration risk, which is that risk that their bonds might fluctuate in value before they mature. So what happened was this Silicon Valley Bank went long on treasuries and mortgage-backed securities. So going long on mortgage-backed securities at a time when mortgage rates were very low, not a real smart move, and it showed, okay? Because they didn't take into account their duration risk, and if they did, then they made some bets that ended up not being very good. So what happened was, as their depositor started looking at their balance sheet and seeing that the value of their bonds was dropping because of interest rates rising, and bonds and interest rates go inverse, they were starting to get worried, and they started to run. And even though most of what this Silicon Valley Bank had was treasuries, which is probably the most secure thing in the United States to purchase, because it's backed by the full faith and credit of the United States government. But what happens is, if you don't hold it to maturity, it could be worth less than what you paid for it. Now, you're going to get that interest rate all during that time, but if you try to sell it early, if interest rates have gone up, the value of your bond is worth less. If interest rates go down, the value of your bond's worth more. And I know everybody probably remembers that in our meetings, especially when we were first setting up your strategies. But that's kind of what happened with the Silicon Valley Bank, and then it had some contagion going. But what it really boils down to is interest rates stayed artificially low for too long, okay? Now, getting into bonds, because understanding bonds is very important. That's why investing in individual bonds for the long term makes sense versus bond funds. Because if we hold the bonds to their maturity, we get our par value back. If we have to sell them early, then we may take a hit on those. And that's why investing in bond funds in environments like now doesn't make sense, and we've covered that. In fact, when you look at how interest rates are moving, short-term treasuries of 6 months are paying about 4.95% as of yesterday. 10-year treasuries, 3.48. So as you can see, we've got an inverted yield curve. So shorter-term treasury instruments have a higher interest rate than longer-term, and that's because people are anticipating either interest rates staying about the same, maybe going up a little more, and they did yesterday, a quarter point. Now, will there be any more rate increases? We'll see. You know, they've signaled there could be. And I think we're getting to the end of that. I don't know how much more damage they can do to the economy by continuing to raise interest rates. But the problem we have now is that the Federal Reserve is running out of bullets in their holster, because you can't stimulate the economy and bring interest rate and bring inflation down. You know, they're two different things. So that's what they're dealing with at the Fed, in Congress, in the White House, is how to tame inflation without killing the economy and driving interest rates too high. So that's the rub we're in, so to speak. And so all these government programs that are still being talked about, they need to put those things on the shelf. What we need to do now is get a taming on inflation so that the middle class is not killed, because you all seen what eggs, what bacon, what some of these other things are doing in the grocery store, and it's not pretty. So just a little background on where we are, where we're going. And many of you have, over the last couple years, we've given you an estate planning kit. It was a trial thing we were doing. And they have come up with a new one that I have now purchased to give to clients, which is a digital version, which will allow you to really structure things so that when you do pass on, there is a clear game plan of what needs to be done to make sure that your executor knows where everything is, that all your accounts and things are identified. So as we go through our reviews over the next 6 months or so, I'm going to be introducing that to all clients. And I think you're really going to like it. Those that I've tried on the trial run on the hard copy really liked it. And as I said when I gave it to them, it's a marathon, not a sprint. It's something you build over time. But when we do our reviews, we'll definitely talk about that and how this new digital version of what I call the ICE kit in case of emergency is going to come in handy. And it's real important. Unfortunately, I've had 4 good long-term clients pass away over the last year. And fortunately, we had everything organized. And so it really helped. Okay, and that's what my objective is for all y'all, is to do as much as I can to make sure that that it's not a mess when you do pass away. Now, as a lighter note, I just got word a couple weeks ago that I'm going to be a grandfather for the 4th time. So Bonnie has Kelly and Oliver, and Katie had Everett, and now looks like, according to the doctor anyway, a little girl's on the way. So we'll be 50-50, 2 granddaughters and 2 grandsons. So again, want to thank y'all for being clients. We'll be getting in touch with you very soon over this second quarter to do reviews and to talk about the ICE kit and how it might benefit you. And again, that's free of charge. It's compliments of being a client for Brad Williams Financial. So I hope you have the rest of March a good end of the month, and then I look forward to speaking to you come April when the spring starts getting in. So take care.